Shalom, 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 shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone of teaching real well. Peace and salutation to the hopeful elect scattered abroad that's out here doing this work in truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Bach from Prophets of Babylon camp, coming at you with a quick sit down through the spirit and power of YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. This is Matthew chapter 6, verse 19. It says, "Lay not for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal." Right, man. We're not trying to build a life here, man. Because we know everything here is temporary. Because these nice, beautiful houses, that you see on corners, or these celebrity houses, man, that shit gonna get burnt up, man. These nice cars that Jake got, all this shit gonna burn, man. That's why it's okay to have some nice things, but that ain't that's not the goal, man. The goal is to make it on that chariot, man. And how do we do that, man? By doing the will of YAHAWASHI, man. It says, where moth and rust do corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. You had that rapper, Pop Smoke, man. He had a nice crib, but when he got shot, man, he had his own people, stealing shit out his crib, man. And they ain't even buried the man yet, man. And his cousins in his house stealing, man. Stealing chains and things like that, man. That's why you can't take these worldly possessions with you, man. Verse 20, it says, "But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, nor thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." Right, man. Can't nobody steal your crown, man. When we get in the kingdom, bro, we ain't have to worry about people trying to steal what we have or be looking over our shoulder. Nah, man, we gonna be at peace, man. I'm gonna skip down to verse 33. It says, this is Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. It says, "But seek ye first the kingdom of YAHAWASHI and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." Right, man. That's what we doing, man. We out here seeking that crown, man. Seeking the kingdom. We ready to go home, man. It says, "Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself." You gotta focus on the now, man. You can't focus on what you could do tomorrow. Some brothers might not make it to see it tomorrow, man. So if you need to knock that lesson out, man, you gonna knock it out today. While we have time. Because tomorrow problems are tomorrow problems. You gotta focus on today's problems. It says, "Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof." Right, man. That wickedness, man. You can't focus on tomorrow's, problems, like I was saying, I'm gonna go to the book of 1 Corinthians. To 1 Corinthians chapter 7. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 31. It says, "And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passes away," man. Like I was going into. in Matthew, man. You know, we just using this world, man. You know, we not overly doing it, man. We're not out here trying to, you know, have 30 wives and, you know, and try to build a damn a mansion of our own and what so have you, man. You know, we out here, you know, being at bay or being at peace with what we have, man. You know, we ain't trying to overdo it. You know, because overdoing it, man, you know, the Lord will humble your ass real quickly, man. You know? It says, it says, for the fashion of this world passes away, man. You know, the Lord is going to destroy this place with thermonuclear missiles, man. You know? Ain't nothing you got, man, gonna survive that. You know? I'm going to go to the book of Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 13. This is Hebrews chapter 13, verse 6. It says, so that we may boldly say, the Lord YAHAWASHI is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do to me. Come on, man. You know, we put our faith in the Lord YAHAWASHI, man. You know, that the Lord is gonna watch over us, you know, in our spiritual walk, man. You know, we not out here, you know, having fear, you know, what these Edomites, you know, or whoever can do to us, man. You know, we out here doing the Lord's work, man. You know, the Lord's gonna watch over us and make sure he's safe, man. You see us fighting for that crown, man. I need to grab verse 5 too, Salakia. It says, let your conversations be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Right, man? You know, we must be content with what we have, man. You know, the Lord gonna make sure you good. The Lord gonna make sure you have food to eat. You know, clothes on your back. You know, we have to be content with it, man. Like I said, man, we can't be out here overdoing it. You know? We ain't out here trying to live our best life, man. We out here trying to do what we can to get out of this damn hell, man. This is hell for us, brothers, man. That actually know the truth, man. But let me go to the book of 1 John. 1 John chapter 2. It says, this 1 John chapter 2, verse 15. It says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him, man. You know? And if you out here, you know, just being a damn nigga and living your best life and loving everything you do, man, it says what? The love of the Father is not in him, man. You know? We hate this place, man. This place is not for us, man. Our spirit doesn't resonate in this place, man. Verse 16, it says, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world, man. You know? And you see it with these celebrities, man. You know? They want to live their best life while they can. You know? Because they know they sold out to get it. You know? So they over here living it up. You know? But we know what's going on, man. It says, and the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of YAHAWASHI about it forever, man. You know? And that's what we looking forward to, man. By keep doing this work of YAHAWASHI, man, so we can make it on that chariot, man. You know? But yeah, man, that's pretty much the point on that. Lord willing, you will edify. Until next video. Shalom.